But the difference is they're not linking to his site. The pictures that I discovered were actual pictures from different photographers who took them, legit photography websites. I sent them emails, and as recently as a couple days ago, and he got called out a couple of days ago. One of them emailed him back because I found one photo that he had stolen, and when I sent the photographer his way to his website, she found five more. So he, instead of facing that, because obviously the other admins saw this message, he referred them to his email account and dealt with this privately. I found photos from Limp Bizkit with another photographer that he stole again. I mean, I hate to break it to you if you're watching this, Shaun, but putting your name and the years over other people's photo does not make it your photo. It's illegal. You're breaking the law.
And I just want to focus on mainly this photo for a second, as I feel like this one we've shown a lot throughout, and I feel like this one helps illustrate a point. Now, this is Chris Motionless of Motionless on White. You've seen the picture a couple of times already. You've seen where I've emailed the photographer. She wound up finding a bunch of other infringements that Shaun has done, but the main reason I want to show this picture is this is her photo, and this is quote-unquote the one Shaun took. Now notice it's a little zoomed in. Notice he cut out her watermark at the very bottom, and with that little act, he's changed everything for himself, whether he knew it or not. Now, we've covered that he alleges I signed an NDA, which I didn't, but I'm pretty sure he does have his other employees on NDA. I'm pretty sure he didn't make that same mistake with me that he did with everybody else. But here's the thing. Any employee of his can speak up at this point, because this one act right here null and voids every single NDA, and the fact that he's committed an illegal act, which this is an illegal act by stealing photos, yes. An NDA cannot be enforced. All contracts, they cannot be enforced, and obviously like a hush order be issued if they are quote-unquote illegal acts going on, and this was an illegal act. Now, Section 1202 in the Integrity of Copyright Management Information of the U.S. Copyright Act makes it illegal for someone to remove the watermark for your photo so that it can disguise the infringement when used. The fines start at $2,500 and go to $25,000 in addition to attorney's fees and any damages for the infringement if they choose to come after you. It's kind of funny that Shaun could be hit with that for every single one of these photos, and I do want to update that as of July 11th, when I'm recording this, that it just so happens that none of Shaun's concert photos are up on Strangeland Oddities anymore. For somebody to be so proud of his photos that he basically has now all but confirmed to me and any viewer that's watching this that none of those photos were legit, because if they were, he wouldn't have taken them down. He's legitimately taken all of these photos down because he stole every single one from every person that he could, and has passed them off as his own for years, as you can see by his copyright 2017. So he doesn't have a leg to stand on, and his current employees, that all falls on them, because once again, he's doing these acts. If anybody were to take issue with it, any photographers, all of these illegal acts, they fall on everybody. It's not just Shaun. Sure, Shaun would be the one hit with all the fines and penalties, but everybody else's reputation, that if they were to impose legal action, everybody's reputation that's currently associated with Strangeland would be knocked. And he's never cared about protecting any of his employees. So it wouldn't surprise me that it wasn't until I personally have outed him that he's now got mud on his face and has taken down all of his photos. It's not the act of an innocent man, if you ask me.
Now, as everything's been going on, I mean, some of the stuff I found out before, some of the stuff I found out after, it all had to lead to something. And the point where not only I figured I had enough, but I was just physically done, actually came about after doing media at a event called the Sonoy Dead Bash in Camp Merrimack. So it also goes hand in hand with something that I'll wind up proving him or counteracting what he said a little bit later. But basically, for these events, he said he got media, but like he waited to the last minute, and we almost didn't get media. The only reason we got media was because he knew the owners, but he didn't get media for my daughter, and we had promoted that she was going to be there. She was doing interviews, but for some reason, I guess he didn't see it important to let them know, hey, she's coming. But he got 3 passes and he gave it to another one of his employees, and which was totally fine. I mean, I have no problem with that. But he didn't tell me that until after we were halfway to Georgia, and I was like, "So what are we gonna do with Lexi?" And he was like, we'll just get her in. She'll be fine." And I looked into the stuff, and of course, children get in free. But see, that's the thing. He wants to complain that Lexi, my daughter, didn't promote Strangeland or this or that and the other. But the fact of the matter is, she wasn't officially doing media for Strangeland. So there's really no reason she had to. So when we did interviews, she did, what she's grown up as, what she's used to doing in Dave and Creech. And the funny thing was, for him to complain about her not doing or mentioning Strangeland, he didn't try to ask her or correct her at all, since he's the quote-unquote boss. So he was literally filming her saying Dave and Creech and didn't say anything all 4 interviews. And what's even more funnier than that is, we've discussed Shaun Blair's supposed 20-year illustrious career doing media. And the fact of the matter is, on the Cooper Andrews interview that we released, if it wasn't for the other employee that he had brought who filmed it on her phone, who I later got permission to use her actual, what she filmed, there would be no Cooper Andrews interview. Because never released this before, but we're going to release this now. This is the extent of what Shaun filmed for the Cooper Andrews interview that we did at the Snowy Dead Bash.
These are all covered in horse poop.
If you're wondering what that was, yeah, that was the very end of the interview. Apparently, Shaun, to have done 20 plus years at events, to have worked with multiple cameras, couldn't even hit the record button and didn't notice the entire time that there wasn't a blinking red light on the screen with the all caps words REC on it. So that was a nice little thing that we found out there. But I went ahead and edited that interview, and I released it, and Shaun was pissed that there was just a mention of Strangeland in there. So that started everything. So he decides to open up a group chat with everybody who is working in his business in Strangeland, and he wants to throw out of nowhere the accusation that Dave Sheridan is not actually part of Strangeland, that I've lied about bringing Dave on. Now, we've discussed that Dave only came on to Strangeland previously because of me, but now he's saying that Dave had no clue what that he was involved at all. So, before I go into my rebuke, let's hear a word from Dave Sheridan himself.
Right. Well, that's cool too, because the thing is, it's like it'll kind of, even people that are convention goers will sort of understand a little bit of what goes on the backside of some of these and the problems that these convention bookers and legit convention bookers and people that run the conventions are running into or fighting against on a daily basis. He's not the only one out there. I'm not going to throw a name out there, but there was another guy prior to him that was very similar, and still like out there actively saying he's doing this and he's repping this guy, and he's not, and it's sort of like these guys come and go, it's kind of interesting. This is interesting. I would say you should contact Melissa too next time you see her and tell her that this project you're going to work on, because she would probably be in on it. She had a lot of info to tell me about him and stuff like that way back when, which is one of the reasons I kind of purposely made sure that I didn't get too embedded into that situation. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to say anything negative towards him since I'd never met him and never talked to him. But obviously I did hear bad things very early in, but I was not about to, I didn't want to be somebody to stir up mud with you. You know what I'm saying? I was more about, I knew you would find out things that were true and not true about this guy through the process of the involvement, and so that's just that.
As you just heard from Dave Sheridan, he's known about Shaun's sketchiness for a while himself. And it's one of the reasons why he also wanted to avoid Shaun, and why I never booked him anywhere. But this is why Dave Sheridan never went anywhere. It wasn't because he wasn't with Strangeland Oddities, it's because he found out about all of this stuff too, and was hesitant to attach his name any more in depth than it was as being already listed as a client for me. Dave is kind of the whole catalyst that really made me decide to finally just cut it. It started really just a ball rolling that in the end it eventually gave me all the ammunition I needed to start this documentary and to further prove the lies that we and all the other employees have been told. Shortly after coming back from Sonoya from the Dead Bash, Shaun, in a business chat with all the other employees, said, "Creech, sometime soon we need to do a meeting with me, you, and Dave. No one believes Dave is a client. I had cons contact me saying Dave is not with Strangeland. I need some kind of proof. Have him do a video on his phone stating he is working with us. You handle him. He's on your podcast, but I'm getting so many messages that Dave is not with us. Someone even said they're getting a cease and desist order from Dave's attorney. I need some proof. If he's not, I need to take him down." Now, this is... First off, that's just a stupid request. Because I don't care if he doesn't believe me. I mean, obviously, I've been to sets with Dave. I've podcasted with Dave for 3 years. I've been working with Dave extensively. And now that you heard from Dave, the fact of the matter is this. I chose not to get Dave to send a video because that's not something you would professionally request. Because here's the thing. He wants to go about needing proof. But at that time, he was fraudulently going by the fact that he was repping Chuck Norris, which he wasn't. He was fraudulently announcing he was repping Lil Wayne, which he wasn't. Fred Durst, which he wasn't. And all these other names. And yet, none of those actually, he didn't get any of those to do videos. Because, obviously he couldn't because they weren't with him. The reason he wanted this video was to stroke his own ego and say, yeah, look, see, I've got big people. I know that's the reason. It's very apparent. So I chose not to. I didn't even bother Dave with that because at that point it was pointless and stupid. And I was like, at that point I was done. Because the guy who has lied over and over again, repeatedly, is saying this is about trust, saying he doesn't trust me, I was done. He still messaged me more about Dave. And this is where it gets funny. Because he mentions in that post I just read, that message, that he was getting contacted by these people. And so I said, point blank, Shaun, give me their info. Give me the names, give me the companies, give me whoever is contacting you about that, and I will handle it, because once again, I am Dave's contact with Strangeland, so anything that needs to be dealt with, I'm supposed to be dealing with anyway. Give me the info. And then he just responded, can you please get him to do a short video stating for appearances contact Creech at Strangeland Oddities. The Horror Hound post where I said Dave should be doofy and do a photo op with Arquette. People loved the idea, but I got slammed with people calling me a liar. And that they worked with Dave, and he's not a part of Strangeland. With that, I'm like, well, okay, these people that are slamming you, give me their name, I'll handle it. I bring up the fact that he doesn't have videos for everybody else, and he's like, well, I have these emails, and the emails I can't show you because they're legally, they're legally not supposed to be shown. However, they basically, they're just emails he sent to people asking if they had rep, and they're all like low name talents. They're not big name talents. Any of the big names, he didn't provide proof of showing. He comes back, I'm asking for honesty. Does he know about Strangeland, and does he know he's a client for appearances? A video will take 10 seconds of that. He really, really wanted that video. It's kind of pathetic, to be honest. And then he this is at the part where he brings where he says, I'm working hard on this company, not just working hard to make myself a career, but all you guys. I can't and won't ruin everyone's reputation over something like this. Be honest with me. I deserve that. I even sent you to Days of the Dead Atlanta. No photos or interviews.
Welcome back. This is CJ Creech of Strangeland Oddities.
Just like part one. Going back, I mean, I posted stuff right there. And you're probably looking at it again right in the top of the screen. But yeah, I definitely did work. He's like, I know the truth, but I want to hear it from you. It won't change anything with us in Strangeland if you're honest with us. Now he's trying to be like some kind of reverse psychology parent type thing. He's like, after I sent him the pictures and the video from Strangeland that we did at Days of the Dead Atlanta, proving he lied about us not doing any work, he says, okay, I'm going to be honest. I spoke to Dave. He knows you work for Strangeland. He stated he knew nothing about us repping him, that you are his go-to guy. He knew nothing about appearances. What happened to the interviews I had set up? I spoke to their agents, and they spoke to their clients, and no one from Strangeland approached them. So here's the thing. This is actually two parts. One part's not even involved with Dave Sheridan, but he didn't speak to Dave Sheridan. And we're going to get to that in a second. But he talks about setting up interviews. In his rebuttal that he issued on Facebook, he actually says that he didn't set up any interviews. And if he did, he never contacted me to set up interviews. I did my interviews there. So I don't... Once again, Shaun's completely living in his own world here. But we're going to go to this thing now with I spoke to Dave, because he didn't. Now, any normal people, I mean, Shaun has been proven already in 3 parts of this that he's a pathological liar. But why he thought he could lie about talking to Dave Sheridan and me not text Dave and find out for myself, it just blows my mind. Because that's exactly what I did. I texted Dave, and Dave was like, I've never talked to this Shaun guy at all, as you literally heard just a little bit ago. He also said, maybe he's confusing me for a different Dave. So the fact of the matter is, Shaun's been lying about everything, and this situation was the catalyst where, I mean, I knew I had enough. And here's the funny thing. When I called him on that, he's like, we want the truth from Dave's mouth. I can go to every client and ask them to do the same thing. Well, no, you can't, as we proved with quite a few of them. We deserve to hear from Dave. Now, you've heard from Dave. I wouldn't lie about talking to him. Well, you definitely did. As Dave confirmed once again on here, as he confirmed in the text message you saw, he's definitely lying about that. And after calling Shaun out on all this stuff, he decides to post something that really made me laugh. Now, before we go into this, obviously, if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, you're really missing out because we're about to go all the way back to part 1. Carey Hart. Now, you remember the stories I told about Carey Hart then, about him being a supposed... It changed from, like, owner to financial backer to whatever. But here's the thing. Shaun has gone on record saying that now that Carey has nothing to do with the company, had never had anything to do with the company, which is funny because after this blow up that happened in the biz chat about Dave Sheridan, you know, I happened to see that there's a new post from Shaun inside of it, and this is what it says. Okay, this is a direct quote from Carey Hart. If a phone call or video is not provided by Dave Sheridan, then we have no choice but to remove him from the roster until further proof is shown. I have dealt with many celebrities and public figures in my life that I refuse to let any situation be taken away from myself, my family, my company, and my friends. I invest a lot of money into Strangeland Oddities because I believe in Shaun Blair and his abilities to grow and shine. The employee who has not provided the proof that entails the truth behind Dave Sheridan and Strangeland Oddities will be placed on a temporary suspension until proof of this matter is resolved. It's plain as day this type of behavior can lead into bad repercussions with other stuff in our clientele. Once proof is provided, the party will be reinstated by Strangeland Oddities. I stress no bad-mouthing if this turns out to be fake, as the employee will be terminated. Truth and trust are very key factors I stress to Shaun about how the company needs to be run. I trust Shaun Blair and his judgment. He has great reputation as we worked together many years ago. I hope this satisfies everyone involved, and for myself and my company, Hart and Huntington, I stress my deepest apologies, as this type of behavior is not tolerated. If anyone needs to address me, Shaun will email and have you CC'd into our conversation, which is always strictly confidential. Thank you, everyone. Much love, and keep rockin'. Carey Hart. Now, first off, for a professional quote-unquote statement, keep rockin' is really cheesy, but once again, so you're telling me that Carey has no say. You know, this is Shaun's company, but yet Carey has the ability to suspend whoever he wants. By this point, I had already left, but I saw this and I laughed. And I told Shaun, no, this fake suspension is not going to work, because I quit. At this point, I wound up pulling a move out of Shaun's own playbook. Because when I messaged Shaun and just told him, look, dude, I don't care, I quit. I wanted to see what he would do and how he would squirm. And I was like, you know, I don't need to reach out to Carey through you. So I told a little lie, and told him that, you know what? I've already contacted Carey, and me and Dave are talking to him tomorrow. And at that point, Shaun blew up. He said there's be no contact between myself and Carey. He messaged, anything you talk about with Corey is in violation of privacy and non-disclosure rights. One, never signed an NDA, and I've never signed anything. I'm technically not even an employee. I'm not of salary, and yeah, so there's nothing here. I've never signed any paperwork legally making me an employee of Strangeland, which isn't even a company. But he says you will get sued. He reiterates, I didn't pay you in Atlanta because you didn't do anything. We've already proven that one false. He's like, I don't care if someone you know, if someone you know is Carey, it's under contract, nothing is to be discussed. What you are doing is pure slander and hatred towards me directly. You can resign all you want. Keep that in mind. Okay, he's admitting that I did quit. I actually told him I quit. Because when we go into the bogus cease and desist I was sent, you'll see what I'm talking about. I will contact Carey right now and inform him on what you are trying to pull. Okay. Slander. Defamation of character. I think it means defamation. Harassment. Starting shit over one thing I asked you. You're going to retaliate over this. Really, this is childish. If you don't want to be a part of it,
It's fine. Move on. Why try to ruin things for other? What things? Just like everything is lies. Why ruin other people getting scammed out of stuff, as we've discussed? Okay, we'll go with that. There will be legal consequences on this. I am warning you. Step back and leave it alone. Think what I was doing was wrong. What you are doing is much, much, much more worse. And people will see you are out for nothing but revenge. This is exactly what you're about, is revenge. Personal stuff has nothing to do with work stuff. Personal is separate. No, I'm against being frauded and frauding others, especially some of my friends that happen to work for you. Not anymore. Yeah, so he sent that. He at this point he says, you signed an NDA first time we met. No, I didn't. I still, to this day, if you're watching this, Shaun, show that NDA. I want to see that NDA because I know I didn't sign one and I know what my signature looks like. I mean, I know you know what my signature looks like now, but there's a little something I do in my signature that it's very easy to tell a forgery. He states, I'm also a licensed agency, which states anyone posing or working for Strangeland is not allowed to talk or do anything without my permission. I worked with him. He's talking about Carrie. He doesn't own the company. I do not him. He helps me out. I'm sponsored. Big difference. I told you that from day one. It's my company. It's fine, dude. I'm sending this to the company attorney along to SAG. You know, the Screen Actors Guild, which I'm sure he has nothing to do with. But at this point, he's threatening to blackmail me or blackball me to SAG. So we'll go with that. I can do this. He's like, you want to play hardball and pull this grudge bullshit? I can do the same. You will be contacted by a cease and desist order from a licensed attorney that there's no contact with me, Carrie, any employees or clients of Strangeland. No contact by Dave and Creech. It will state he will not be a guest. He's talking about Carrie. If you violate the order, I will actually, the attorney, will press charges. Whatever that sentence means. I don't care about your status. It sucks you were getting Dave involved. All you had to do was wash your hands and walk away like a man. But you want to be a child about this. I just emailed the attorney and you will get something from them tomorrow to cease and desist. If you break that order, good luck to you, my friend. I'm not losing everything I have over a chump like you with a grudge against me. Regardless if you have Dave. You can't use him as a crutch. Will hurt you getting gigs on your own. Dude, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't. I didn't join Strangeland to even be a fucking agent rep. Like, trust me. Let's see. All communications from this point will be dealt with the attorneys unless you man up and stop this bullshit. Never in my 19 years have I dealt with someone so childish. Act your age for once, because I am not playing with the attorney, and I will press charges on you. You also forgot my mother worked for the state attorney's office 25 years. Either we squash this right now, or I file the cease and desist order, which I know you will ignore, and follow through with charges. Your choice. I tried to settle this with you. Now here's the thing. I'm like... I told him that the NDA, it's in the NDA, please. A photo will do. Show me the close-up signature. And I talked to everything about it. I remember that first day. He was like, we shall see. I don't falsely docture paperwork. Okay. He randomly responds, Strangeland is a fully licensed agency protected by the Privacy Act for employees and freelancers. I never worked for Hart and Huntington. And then... I just read you his statement that he was going to get an attorney to send me a cease and desist in the email. This guy sends him personally, a cease and desist through Facebook Messenger. And boy, is this thing just lovely. So let's get into this. Okay. So we've got this lovely cease and desist that he decided to send to me from his quote unquote attorneys. And first thing you want to know, obviously Strangeland Oddities, there's no attorney paperwork that he said his attorneys were doing. There's no attorney info, there's no stamp. It's clear that he just took things out. Like, I mean, if he left the commas and the fill in the box things here. I mean, right there, here. But this is from Strangeland to CJ Creech, The Dave and Creech Show, and Dave Sheridan. And it only gets better from here, guys. Okay, we're going to talk about everything, the main parts of this. It has come to our attention that you have made a defamatory and false statement about us. The following false statement was made due to the let go of CJ Creech. Obviously, so at this point, the let go of CJ Creech, we just went over his text where he admitted that I quit. So obviously, there's already falsehoods in this cease and desist. It's already a lie within the first two sentences. There will be no slander, defamation of character, harassment, contact with employees and clients for any reason whatsoever. No direct contact with Shaun Blair. Okay. No contact with public figure Carrie Hart and spreading lies that Shaun Blair has worked for Hart and Huntington. First off, if Carrie, at this point, he was still saying that Carrie helped out with him, but he's also since admitted that Carrie has nothing to do with him, so you can't actually cease and desist talking about or to somebody on another person's behalf when you're not actually authorized to do so. Shaun Blair has not worked for Carrie Hart or Hart and Huntington. There we go. The first time he admitted it. Strangeland Oddities is a fully licensed agency protected under California laws. Where have I heard that before? And statutes, and any information given out with Shaun Blair's permission is legal, and legal charges will be placed against C.J. Creech. This is a cease and desist order to C.J. Creech. David Creech. One run-on sentence right there, or run on two words at least. That no contact via phone, messenger, email, text, and so forth to any Strangeland Oddities employees or clients, and no contact with Carrie Hart, stating he owns Strangeland Oddities or that Shaun Blair has worked for him. But didn't supposedly in the message that he sent, Carrie Blair said that Shaun had worked for him? You mean this Carrie would lie on this email or this message that was posted by Shaun? Oh my stars. The company is a licensed corporation under Shaun Blair's name and no one else. Failure to cease and desist, these rules are against the Privacy Act of the agency with the state of California. That's a run-on. And I've looked at the Privacy Act, and it mentions nothing about this as to what he's doing. And the next step is to press charges against CJ Creech for violating these terms. Once served electronically or via email, I guess Facebook Messenger counts as one of those, the cease and desist order takes immediately. Especially that part. Just take note of that. If Shaun Blair and CJ Creech wish to work this out outside the judicial system, then we will set up mediation to have this settled once and for all. If CJ breaks this order, then full charges will be filed through the circuit branch of the court as a felony act. That's cool and all, but it's funny because Shaun, literally after this, he contacts me. So he's already broken his own cease and desist at this point, and starts threatening me some more, multiple times over the next couple days. That's interesting right there. The statement was false statements are being shown all over social media via Messenger. Well, actually, how can they be shown all over social media via Messenger? If they're a Messenger, they're private. Which there are screenshots of every that CJ has Dow to vindictively did to attack. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What does this even mean? Via Messenger, which there are screenshots of every that CJ has Dow to vindictively did to attack Shaun Blair when Shaun Blair asked proof about a client who was not a client, which documented proof has been submitted. There's been of actor Dave Sheridan, which is what started this entire situation, as he refused to provide proof of Sheridan being a client of Strangeland Oddities. Like, that's the longest run-on, miscombobulated, like, what the fuck is going on with that sentence? Then, CJ contacts Shaun Blair, stating her contacted Carrie Hart. So now I am switching genders. I am a her. Contacted Carrie Hart, stating Shaun does not work for Hart and Huntington, and Carrie has nothing to do with Strangeland Oddities, which is more than true. Shaun Blair has never worked for Hart and Huntington, and Carrie Hart does not have any ownership in the... Shaun Blair has never worked for Hart and Huntington, and Carrie Hart does not have ownership in the company whatsoever. The contact between Carrie and CJ Creech, Dave and Creech Show, and Dave Sheridan needs to stop with the false accusations that Shaun Blair has worked for Carrie, and Carrie owns Strangeland, which is completely false. Shaun Blair, this is like the 5th time he's mentioned this, has never worked for Hart and Huntington, and Carey Hart has absolutely no ownership in Strangeland Oddities. Weird that he can make such decisions as trying to suspend people and not representing other people because they don't have proof. And how it's his company in that message that he sent. It is willfully misleading without merit. There's definitely merit, because the misleading statements are causing unwanted drama to Shaun Blair all over the firing. Once again, not a firing. I quit. And God knows, I really feel bad for sending that Rama towards Shaun Blair. Because he assured Shaun was personally attacking him when confronted about Dave Sheridan, his client, and CJ has not done his job as described in the numerous meetings between him and Shaun Blair. There was literally, I've been in 2 meetings. I met in McDonald's where I had to pay for his food because he was too broke, and I had a meeting with him where I paid for half of his pizza because he was too broke. Oh, and then the time we went to Atlanta. That's it. Yes, multiple meetings. Okay. And then he's talking about the incident at the Dead Bash where yeah, here's the thing. I'm not gonna go over this part. I mean, you can read it if you pause it, but he's throwing at one of his employees and saying that I used her footage. She's actually given me permission to use her footage. First off, so yeah, that's that. And here's one of my favorite parts. Let's see. Where is it where he talks about his company? The false statements that you made is reckless and highly defamatory and has caused us to suffer substantial harm, reputational harm. You're doing a good job on that by yourself, sir. Harm to our business, harm to our character and reputation. All of those were hit way before I even came into the picture. Now this next thing, it's funny. This needs to cease and desist per California state law regarding the Privacy Act regarding an agency that is a corporation. What? How can it be an agency and a corporation at the same time? And then it says, we hereby demand that you immediately cease and desist from making any and all false statements against us within 24 to 72 hours of the date of this letter. Remove all defamatory statements and contents from all social media and websites. And publish a retraction and notify us in writing when these tasks have been completed. If you do not cease and desist with the above stated time period, will be forced to take appropriate legal action against you, and you will seek all available damages and remedies. Sincerely, Shaun Blair, CEO, owner. And it's funny. This page intentionally left blank. Cool. General instructions. He sent me the instructions on the most common citations on a cease and desist. Let's see. It says, what is a cease and desist? Like, he didn't even read this. But it says, a cease and desist is a letter sent to an individual or business that is engaging in unlawful behavior. Sounds like some company we know. Basically, possible senders, businesses whose reputation is... Look at this. He's going to classify himself as business whose reputation is falsely attacked. I'm not falsely attacking, so I'm legitimately attacking, so this doesn't... This is not for you. But we're gonna, obviously he didn't read his own thing that he printed all this out, and obviously, this is the funny thing, he doesn't even put my real name. My name's not CJ Creech. So, and once again, there's no attorney. If this was from a legit attorney's office, there'd be more stuff. He took this from there, wrote his own stuff, as you can tell with how many typos, and is passing it off as legit. And then, not only that, the most damning part of this is everything the lies that I've already documented that were listed in here. There was so many falsehoods in his statement. And then the fact that he broke every injunction or whatever that he was listing that I was not supposed to do, or him, he's broken it. So let's get back to the messages.